Welcome back to the news at 10. It was a tale of destruction in the Kogi state capital, Lokoja, today after students of the state-owned polytechnic went on rampage following the death of one of their colleagues. The female student was said to have been stabbed by a commercial motorcyclist following an argument between her and the motorcyclist over the fare. She was reported to have died later as a result of the injury she sustained, which triggered the protest by the students who blocked the Abuja-Lokoja expressway, destroying cars and other items in the process. A truck belonging to Dangote Group was also reportedly burned. The students were also reported to have attacked the policemen who were deployed to stop the mayhem. And back here in Lagos, the state governor, Akinomi Ambode, says the state will no longer tolerate any act of lawlessness from property developers here. The governor, who visited the site of the building collapse in the Lekki area of the state, says he was hurt by the loss of over 30 people at the building owned by the Lekki Gardens estate. He says the state government will commence a stability test on all buildings constructed by developers in the state, and that any building found to be defective will be demolished.
Building collapse of a 6th-floor building in Lekki Gardens in Etiosa local government on the 8th March 2016, where 34 people lost their lives and dozens have been injured, is one building collapse too many. I am therefore addressing you today with a heavy heart as I commiserate with all those that have suffered loss and injury. Since the unfortunate collapse, the state government has taken the following steps. Order the immediate sealing of the construction site and cessation of further construction. Ensure the coordinated emergency rescue of all injured victims and treatment at its hospitals. Order the owners of the collapsed building to submit themselves to the police. Some government officials have been relieved of their duties.
From all indications, the Ogun State government seems to have succeeded in relocating the Mile 12 traders who had moved to Kara Market from Lagos. Their new location, going by the information given by the Commissioner for Agriculture in Ogun State, Ronke Shokefun, says it is Ogere. How will this affect activities for them and consumers in the southwest? Well, the Commissioner joins me now. Thank you so much, Commissioner, for joining us on the news at 10.
Good evening.
Now let's start from the move from Kara to Ogere. Is this particular location now conducive for them, as we saw that the Kara situation didn't really work out?
Well, Kara was an aberration, as everybody observed. Yeah. They moved in there like overnight and almost overran the place. But we realized as a state government that asking them to leave without making adequate provision for them to relocate wasn't going to work either, because they would just take, again, yet another available space. So all hands were on deck. The location had been acquired as far back as 3 years ago. Part of it was meant to rehabilitate the cattle market still in Kara. But what we then did was, it's 150 hectares of land, and it's owned by 2 different local governments in the state. That's Obafemi Owode and Ogere. So we decided, look, since it's 150, we might as well take advantage. And we immediately moved to site to start clearing so as to move them. So yesterday moving them was a culmination of the efforts of like 4 days of intense hard work on that location.
Okay. Looking at Mile 12, where they were before,
yes.
A lot of them preferred Mile 12 because it seemed to be central in terms of transportation. Mm-hmm. But then you find Ogere seems to be a bit way out. How are you going to deal with that issue, people coming in and going out, commuting from Ogere?
It's a function of the consumer. What does the consumer want? The same consumer that's ready to spend 3-4 hours in traffic, what does he want to do now? Does he want to go to Ogere, which, as I have said before, is on the clock 3 minutes from the Shagamu interchange? Is that convenient for you as a consumer? Are you shopping for your home for the month, or are you a bulk shopper who then retails? We believe it's convenient for them because the traders themselves are quite happy. They know that it's a permanent location. It's not yet another temporary location for them. It's where they will be. The governor has addressed them severally. He was on ground yesterday to receive them. There was a team here led by the deputy governor. I was on that team, clearing Kara. while the governor led the team in Ogiri to receive them. And he's assured them severally. He goes there like twice a day. He's been there today. He was there once today, just to talk to them again and reassure them of the state government support for their business.
All right, what about security? When the crisis broke out, many of them said it got as bad as it did because perhaps there was no security that was adequate that could come to their aid. In that particular area, have you taken that into consideration?
Yes, we have.
There will still be the same set of traders,
absolutely,
just in a different place.
Absolutely. We've seen that. We've seen the pitfalls that were with where they were before. So what we've tried to do in the first instance is first secure that location that they have moved to now, to be certain that at least their wares, their monies are safe. The next phase, like you said, is to harmonize their relationship with the locals, the local communities, their hosts. I've said it before, I don't know what existed where they were. Kara is very close to you, and I'm sure you've never heard of any such incident in Kara. Reason is, you must always make provision for the two, or for the number of people or number of communities that live in that place. When each has a leader, it's easy to meet with them. I meet with the Kara people regularly. Yorubas are there, the Hausas are there, and we meet, you know, they moved to Ogiri with us because they were more or less the hosts here. It was their market that was overrun. But you see, they welcomed them, they just didn't realize that they needed government support in welcoming them to their location. So they've moved with us because their move is imminent as well. But because they need more solid structures on ground, like a slaughter slab and what have you, theirs is a bit slower, but work is ongoing on both. All
right, Commissioner for Agriculture in Ogun State, Ronke Shokenfo, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
On the news at 10 tonight. The Minister of Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, says Nigeria must meet the July 2017 deadline set for digital switchover from analog broadcasting. The minister said Nigeria's failure to meet the deadline will cause economic losses for the country and create a gap in the telecommunications sector, as well as violate an international treaty on digitization. Alhaji Mohammed, who inaugurated a ministerial task force to ensure that this third deadline is met, said the progress made by the National Broadcasting Commission, which has managed the switchover process, must be built upon.
Today, in licensing what we call the signal distributors. They've succeeded also in licensing about 13 set-box manufacturers. They have reached agreement with what they call the content aggregator. And I think they have also finalized agreement with the middleware company. Now, as of today, we have we have agreed with all other ECOWAS member states that July 2017 will be the deadline, will be the cutoff line for all of us to move to digital. To that effect, equipment, uniform equipments, uniform transmission channels have been agreed for all the member states. So if we miss this, it means then that we cannot even exchange programs or stations with our colleagues in ECOWAS. We don't have an option. We must meet the 2017 deadline.
Let's take a look at some business news now. Here's Anne Waudu.
You first. First Bank.
Hello, welcome to Business News. Some operators in the petroleum downstream have asked the federal government to save the industry by coming up with clear policies on the foreign exchange and sectoral deregulation. The call was made at the first business clinic of the petroleum downstream of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. At the event, the operators, Mr. Tunji Oyebanji and Mr. Reginald Stanley, advised the NNPC to involve petroleum marketers in their supply sources.
Has a bit of constriction in terms of its supply sources. So by involving the marketers that are spread all over the country, you will then have supply nodes: Calabar, Port Harcourt, Warri, Ogara Axis, and Lagos. So by so doing, you spread it out, and with the engagement of the marketers who already have their facilities supplying from these points, the whole country will be weight.
There are a few institutions that maybe through their affiliate companies are able to get some support in terms of forex, but that is not the case for every single player in the industry. So for people who do not have that ability, it's really going to be tough, because we all have to depend on what the priorities are. I know that priority must be given to fuel imports, because if you don't give, then obviously there will be queues on the streets.
The Federal Ministry of Finance says its efficiency unit has engaged in negotiations with local and international airlines for discounts commensurate with the large number of the ticket purchases made by government annually. According to the ministry, the savings generated will increase funding available to the government for capital investment. With estimated savings of approximately 4 billion naira, the Finance Ministry has asked the efficiency unit to make travel a key focus for cost cutting and generation of savings. Pan-African leader Ecobank Transnational Incorporated has issued a profit warning for its full year 2015 period, saying the figures to be released next month will be materially lower than expected. ATI, which is listed on the stock exchanges of Abidjan, Accra and Lagos, said today that its 2015 lower profit was due to macroeconomic challenges faced by most African economies, lower oil prices, depreciating currencies, as well as monetary and fiscal bottlenecks. ATI expects its full year 2015 profits in US dollar terms to be lower than the 9 months to 2015 profit, while the bank's efficiency and asset quality positions are going to be worse than previous targets. Bearish trading entered a second day on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange today, with the key broad index falling further to 0.42%. Bisi Adebayo tells us more.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Reports. The haircut continued at the Nigerian equities market as the key broad index declined further, this time by 0.42%. The all-share index fell to 25,745.13 with a lower market capitalization of 8.85 trillion naira. Volume of shares traded increased to 287.03 million, valued at 2.66 billion naira in 4,561 deals. UBA, Zenith Bank and Transco were the major contributors to market turnover. Percentage-wise, ETI led the day's top price laggards with 9.72% after the Pan-African lender today issued a profit warning for its full year 2015 period, indicating a lower than expected result. Owando came next with 9.57%, while Diamond Bank lost 8.78%. On the other hand, investors favored the stocks of Cornell, UBA and UBA Capital. And that ends the stock market reports. I'm Bisi Adebayo.
Let's go to the oil market now, where crude prices struggled to recover today following a bruising session that saw Brent crude down some 2% yesterday. This was after Iran's announcement that Tehran was not part of the plans led by Saudi Arabia to freeze production among member states. The plan was being packaged to include non-OPEC leading producers like Russia. NYMEX crude for April delivery fell 1.11% in early trade, while Brent crude shed 0.9%. An OPEC monthly report released yesterday shows the group's output declined by less than 200,000 barrels in February, much of which came from pipeline disruptions in Nigeria and in Iraq. Let's now see how trading in major markets across the globe fared today. Well, that's a wrap in business news. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. The rest of the news at 10 continues with Ijoma.
You first. First Bank.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Nigeria's gold medal prospect at the ongoing African Boxing Championship, Ifetobo Akpochi, loses in the final of the men's 91 kilogram category. And that will be on sports. Enjoy us again.